Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you know what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard! Welcome to a brand new episode of Krazy Train Podcast. My next guest is one of my favorite guitarists from his days in Typo Negative until current day with his latest band, Sun Don't Shine, on Corpse Paint Records. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Kenny Hickey. Thank you so much for joining me today. I was so tickled pink when I heard that you'd be joining me because Typo Negative is one of my favorite bands ever, but I know you've been doing so much more with your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in many years.
I know. Like, when was the last time we actually saw each other? I think, like, was it Danzig? Was it something like that? It's been like...
Probably something like that, like 2009. And I think we did an interview or two for some of my other releases at some point, but a long time ago. You look great.
Thank you. So do you. I'm jealous of your hair. I always get so self-conscious about my hair, but it's still got the heavy metal hair going on. So what brought you into the world of heavy metal guitarist?
I guess it goes back to when I was like 8 years old and I discovered Kiss and I first saw Ace Frehley with his Smoking Les Paul on a marquee at the Madison Square Garden in New York. And I was just like, wow, that's what I want to do. I mean, I was very into music before that, rock, and I was very into Sabbath and Zeppelin, but I think that image is really what just blew my mind and made me want to play guitar and pick it up. Shortly after that, I bought my first guitar and started learning.
What was your first guitar?
A PVT-60. It was cheap, but it's actually a really well-made guitar, and they're pretty rare today, I think. I never held on to it. It was like a bolt-on neck, Fender Strat type. And it was a reasonable, I don't remember how much it cost. We're going back now. It's got to be 1979 or maybe 1981 I'm talking about, something like that, right? And my first amp was a PV Backstage. It was a little one speaker, I think a 6-inch speaker, might have been a 12-inch speaker, and it had the saturation on for distortion. It sounded like Eddie Van Halen. I loved it.
Yeah, I remember like the whole guitar area on 48th Street. So my first guitar was a Tokai guitar, like a little pink one, because I was listening to the Go-Go's then, Motorhead, like all kinds of stuff. There's such memories in that area on 48th
48th Street. When I got my first job, like real job, was at a Carpenters Union. I was about 20.
Uh-huh.
And I was making, this has got to be like 1986 or 7. I was making $26.66 an hour. I remember what I was making. That was a lot of money back then. I was like raking it in, right? And I was only like 21. I remember just going down to 48th Street, going down to Manny's, and putting a down payment on Marshall cabinets. And like I put down payment on 6 of them. And every week I would go down and I got my paycheck and put most of my paycheck on it. Then go drink the rest of my paycheck away at Lemoore. You know, like it took me like, I don't know, like maybe 3 months, 3.5 months. And I had 3 twin stacks in my room. I had like this little shoebox room. I lived in my mother's house. It must have been like maybe 6 feet wide by, I would say the most 9 feet long. And it was just a wall of Marshalls and my bed. Fucking heaven.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's torture. Where'd you guys grow up? In Brooklyn or Queens?
I grew up in Brooklyn, yes.
What part of Brooklyn were you from?
Marine Park. So it's like South Brooklyn near like Kings Plaza, near the park. I went to James Madison High School. Same high school Bernie Sanders went to.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Andrew Dice Clay grew up 3 blocks away from me on Ocean Avenue. Like my best friend's mother knew his mother. He used to show up at our rehearsal studio all the time with his blues band. And Peter and Josh, they lived in Midwood, one neighborhood away, not far away. You know?
Well, I met Peter. I think he worked at the park near my school. It was like a Quaker school. And I think he worked in that park doing something or another because I just remembered his piercing green eyes. Obviously, I was underage, so I couldn't really, I wasn't interested in talking to him at that point. I was interested more in heavy metal and going to shows.
Well, he was holding a rake instead of a bass, so he had a rake.
Yeah, right? It's almost the same thing. It's just he was using it to actually clean things as opposed to do this.
He used to do that on. He used to do that on the road when he had anxiety. He'd pick up a rake of broom and start sweeping.
Yeah, well, he's a
Did
big
what
guy.
park was this? What park are you talking about? Was it Brooklyn?
Yeah, so I went to Brooklyn Friends School. It was on Pearl Street, 375 Pearl Street near Brooklyn Heights, and it was across the street from the J Street Courthouse.
Okay, I know that neighborhood well. It's downtown Brooklyn. So maybe it was. Was it one of the neighborhood parks? It wasn't a promenade, was it?
No, it wasn't the promenade. It was one of the
He worked
parks
there at one
nearby.
point.
Hmm?
Yeah, he worked there at one point. Peter loved that show.
Yeah, I mean, we were blasting boom boxes with metal back in the day. Obviously, that was a thing, Washington Square Park. Um, what are some of your better memories of the 90s, like in the whole heavy metal scene?
I mean, that's the pinnacle of my life. The '90s. That's where everything happened. All my great mountaintop memories are in the '90s. I mean, our first Shed tour, opening up for Motley Crue, circa 1995, and then playing with Danzig, then going out with Queensryche, and then Pantera. 8 weeks with Pantera. And both bands are almost at the top of their game. Greatest time of my life, man. There'll never be another '90s, and I survived it. I'm still alive. I'm alive.
What's your secret to longevity in this business, like in the music business? Because you see so many people just falling off or selling out. That is the ghost right now in my studio. There is a ghost in here. I swear to God. Um, so,
Baby's Peter.
oh my God, this is freaky. Spirit be gone. You don't belong here anymore.
Would you like to see my stamp collection?
Yeah, that's next. So, what is the secret to your longevity? Because there's so many musicians from that era that don't do much of anything nowadays. Maybe they work at like Walmart or something.
For me, it's just luck and genetics, mostly luck. And as far as like playing music, I just I don't have. I mean, there was one point where I put my guitar down for a good stretch after Peter died, but I've just decided that the only way is forward, just to keep moving forward and keep writing new music and keep exploring new sonic areas, and just keep moving ahead because otherwise, what am I going to do otherwise? I'm once a guitar player, musician always, so I'm going to be hopefully that 78-year-old guy, frail and wearing a black suit, trying to play blues licks on stage. That's what I want to be anyway. I hope to be.
Well, anything is possible. You could just manifest it somehow. There's such a difference in music nowadays back then. Do you find it challenging nowadays touring or putting out music?
Putting out music is definitely more challenging because the attention span is very short now, and you could have some visibility, but it's only lasts like 5 minutes. So you got to really com- just constantly be coming out with material and putting material out, and more and more. And it's a steady stream you got to do. So it's challenging and creatively. You got to back in the day, you had whatever it was a year. You'd write, develop an album, they put out 3 singles and you put the record out and then you go on tour. Now it's like, you need a single every month or else you just drop off the map. So that definitely makes it more challenging. And then the other thing that makes it more challenging is just so much a flood of information coming into music fans, into their computers, onto their phones, and there's competition with video games and social media and all this other crap. So it's definitely way more complex. Now you got to manage social media pages. I don't just got to figure out how to record my stuff, how to play it, how to write it, get all the gear, all this stuff, all this other logistics you got to get together. Now you got to worry about social media and all this other stuff. So it's become a lot of hats. You got to wear a lot of hats these days, and you got to constantly be working.
Yeah, one thing I did notice about a lot of the musicians nowadays, they're definitely way less masculine than the men of the 90s. I mean, don't forget Pete was in Playgirl of all things. So it was a different era of musicians, I think. Uh, do you feel like when you put the music out, it reaches the younger generation of people to come to your shows or buy your stuff?
I see that thus far it is to some degree, and that has a lot to do, I think, with the resurgence of Typo negative and the way we've seemed to have transcended to a younger generation. There's a whole young generation of Typo fans out there now, which is great. It's a blessing, I mean, they seem to have discovered it and they're running with it. So It's fabulous. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I liked all of the album artwork that you guys had back in the day. Moving forward to what you're doing now, what kind of projects do you find yourself doing these days? Like, what are you working on mostly?
Right now, I have two bands. I have a band that I started 6 years ago called Silvertomb, and that's like very dark, dirgy. Got keyboards, synths, strings, big heavy guitars, and I'm just about wrapping up the mixes for that for the second album for that. It sounds amazing. And then I'm in a band called Sun Don't Shine, and we've been now together like 2 years. We have three singles out, and it consists of me, Johnny Kelly, Todd Strange from Crowbar, and Kirk Winstein from Crowbar and Down. So that's been a journey too. I mean, it just started where we got together. A friend got us together in the studio, and we're like, we're gonna do a song. We had no idea what we're gonna do. We had a couple of parts through together, and the song just came together in 2 days. And we thought that's what we were gonna do, just do a song because it was fun. But it ended up becoming, it came out so good, and it got so much attention. We're like, well, let's do a couple of songs, another group of songs. So now we're ended up, we've got three singles released. Band sounds great. I love what we're doing, and we're gonna go in. We're gonna get together. Right now, I'm developing another four songs of ideas, for four songs, and Kirk's developing stuff, and so is Todd. And we're gonna get together in April, write four more songs, and put out a full length album in the fall.
God, I miss buying CDs and albums. Do you put anything out on LP at all?
Yes, of course, everything is going to go out on vinyl. Everything is going to go, because the vinyl's a thing, and it's a way to make money, some kind of income. And then CDs as well. Although I think CDs, I don't know, people buy them just as a collector's item. I guess I don't even have a CD player anymore. And to tell you the truth, I miss records because I miss the '70s. I miss the experience of opening up my record and looking at all the artwork and all that stuff. So that's the thing I miss about it. And with the CDs, I miss the quality of the sound, and not just the quality of the sound, but back then you had to have speakers with woofers, and you actually had bass when you listened to music. You know what I mean? It was great. You had to have that, right? Now people are listening to their laptops or their phones. There's no bass. It sounds like a bunch of fucking ants, and it's terrible. And then earbuds are pretty cool, but they're not the real experience of really feeling bass. So I miss that sound quality, although I have it in my studio, but like only people like me would have that. But your average person doesn't have stuff like that. But the plus side of today, I think, is just at the touch. I can call up any genre from any time period of music, anything I want to hear, anything that I need to inspire me or influence me or throw into what I'm doing to make it unique. It's at my fingertips, which is fantastic. So it's a give and a take. There was that light again. It's Peter.
I'm telling you because it was flashing green at one point, and that was the color, like, that was the main color. And plus, he had those piercing bright eyes. So it's very freaky right now. Being a Kiss fan, obviously you like vinyl because every Kiss album there were like little pop-up dress, the little things in Dress to Kill. Then they had the stick-on tattoos. You have all the lyrics in there and all the really gorgeous artwork. What went into a lot of the inspiration for the Typo negative artwork and titles?
I mean, every album was different. I mean, Slow Deep and Hard was like a grainy close-up picture of a penetration shot, tinted green and black. I mean, you couldn't tell what it was. So it was kind of like an artistic statement, sort of like an Andy Warhol slimy thing. You know what I mean? That was like the whole idea behind that. And a lot of the stuff that like Peter wanted was he wanted a look that nobody had and nobody wanted. So he always like picked the most disgusting colors he could, like the worst green, black, or something weird or repulsive. I mean, Bloody Kisses was supposed to be like a goth thing, right? So it was like a pun and play on a goth music, right? I mean, on the cover, one of the girls is a blonde. I know that bothered him for the rest of his life. That bothered Peter forever. But that was that idea. And then October Rust was more of like atmospheric, the fall and romantic kind of thing. So we had the trees, and the leaves, you know. So every one of them had a different theme. Now, World Coming Down was the Brooklyn Bridge with an apocalyptic green sky behind it, because really it was about, you know, World Coming Down. It was about the end of a life, you know. So each one had a different theme, but you know, there was always a thing that carried over the color scheme, right? Green, black, something grim usually.
Yeah, there was a lot of green. I remember that, and that's why that thing that's why it keeps flicking to green every few seconds, because of that
Yeah,
color.
right.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, that's what it is. Uh, and when you first started working with Typo Negative, was it everything you anticipated? I mean, you got to tour with Motley Crue and really cool bands at that time. Are you looking for a safe way to bet online where there is something for everyone, including yourself? Then go to betonline.ag, where I am sure you will find something. Don't forget, it's betonline.ag for the most variety and the safest way to bet online.
No, because we didn't anticipate anything.
We were expecting to do this for free.
We were like, oh, this thing's gonna last like 6 months. Peter was like, I want to put a record out. I'm like, okay. And the first record was just off the cuff wild shit. I mean, it was something that never had been done before or heard before. I mean, it was mind blowing, you know, and very avant garde and very not mainstream. So we never expected to get anywhere. You know what I mean? We were doing something cool and different. You know, who else was playing hardcore dirge, you know, industrial goth heavy metal? Nobody. You know, it was a very unique album, and so we never really anticipated being anywhere, especially playing with Motley Crue. Who would have thought? You know, when we first got together. But then, as the band developed, you know, Peter wanted to put down more melodic stuff, have melodies instead of screaming all the time, because they felt anyone could scream all the time. And then we got into the whole black metal stuff and the dark and the dark ambience and stuff, and we had fun with it. That was like probably early '90s, right? '93. So go out down to Lower Manhattan and hang out and drink all night at King Tut's Wawa Hut in Alcatraz, you know. And a lot of that bled out into the music, you know, and that's what really gave birth to Bloody Kisses. And probably a more melodic. I mean, if you're going to make it beyond the lower levels, I mean, you got to have some kind of melody, some kind of hook, right? So that kind of like would put us up into that category. But we'd expected to do nothing, you know. We went out in a bus for that album, playing to 50 people a night, you know, playing dumps, having a great time, nothing to lose. And then just out of nowhere, around the spring of '95, we got a call from Motley Crue's management. Hey, we really love your record. We want you to come out on the road with us. Yeah. So we were like, what? That's what started the ball run.
I don't know if that's where I met you guys the first time. Was it that show? It would have been in like the 90s, like 96, 97 in LA.
95, that would have been 95.
I didn't even hang out with Motley Crue. I was hanging out with you guys, like with the way cooler band and the better looking guys, of course. Like you don't want to hang out with.
Oh, they weren't bad looking guys. I mean, they were older than us, and they had already they'd been through the mill. Like they were all
there you
sober. They were all sober. They were on the other side. We would soon get there, you know. But so, and we were like green, you know. We were playing. I think when we were going on, maybe there was 3,000 people out there or 4,000 sometimes, which was a tremendous amount of people for us. So it's really started selling albums for the band, and we didn't want to do it. We didn't want to do it. My manager forced us to do it. We were like, "We ain't gonna fit in with Motley Crue. You crazy?" He was like, "You're crazy. You will never get in front of 3, 5 grand, 1,000 people a night. You're going to be in front of people that would never think about buying your album and seeing you. That's what you have to do." So he forced us to do it, and he was right. Ken Creedy, genius.
So let me ask you this: do you remember the whole Peter Steele Playgirl layout?
Oh yeah, all too well, my darling, all too well.
So I was supposed to do that layout. That was my really good friend that did it. I was in Puerto Rico or something.
Annalie?
Her name was Maritza Mendez. That was her name, or Princess, whatever you want to call her. But she thought you needed a passport to get from New York City to the Poconos.
Very bright girl.
She was very good for that business. very perfect for the business. It was a very interesting conversation with her. I'm like, I'm in Puerto Rico. Well, what country is that? No, it's the USA. I'm on spring break in Puerto Rico hanging out. Oh, so why don't you just take the job? Do I need a passport? No, you don't need a passport, dipshit. It's part of the USA, like Poconos and New York City. So it was just one of those weird conversations. But I remember the whole Peter Steele layout.
She didn't do good in geography.
I know. It's the IQ, I'm telling you. So, what do you have coming up live wise? Are you doing any festivals? Are you doing just some shows around?
No, we don't have anything right now. We have nothing planned right now. We're going to finish the rest of this record. That's what we're going to do in the spring, and we'll be releasing, videos and singles up until the fall when we release it. And then we're going to see. We're going to plan after that what we're going to play, where we're going to play, or what we're going to do.
It seems like being you is a full time job. Is that correct?
I think it is. From the minute I get up in the morning, it's definitely a chore right till I go to sleep at night. No doubt.
Well, what goes into your day aside from like coffee or tea, hair gel, the gym?
Coffee, tea, oh, gym every day. Every day. Gym. I hit shoulders today. So that's my first, thing. Oatmeal, egg whites, gym. Well, pre-workout, plenty of that to gum me up. Then the gym. Then I'll come back. I'll do whatever press I have to do, whatever business I have to do label-wise or whatever I got to send out. I got a video we're working on right now, and then it's into my studio right here. To this is my studio, which I built during the pandemic. Here I can develop great develop and record pro guitar sounds and vocals, not drums. That's done elsewhere. So I work on my stuff here. I work on my music. This is my creative added self. I spend most of the day there, and my wife gets home, we'll eat dinner, and that's what. Then it's family time after around 6 o'clock at night. It's family time, wifey time.
You're very lucky. Uh, I don't think a lot of musicians that I speak to have that luxury of, doing just the musician thing full time, but it's like a grind. What label are you on now? Is it your own or is there someone that?
Yeah, it's an independent label that Sundance shines on. It's called Corpse Paint Records.
Oh,
Right. So I don't know who's going to actually put out the vinyl in the end. I mean, distribute it. There might be, I think maybe there might be a couple of different distributors actually just reached out to the Germans today to see if they want to put out this record, but they're on vacation. What a shock.
everyone's in Spain right now in those countries because it's warm and it's very cheap to go there and they get their little suntans there as well.
They have a lot of vacations, the Europeans. I mean, they're always on holiday, they call it.
I go on vacation all the time. I mean, usually, obviously, we're part European, but that's what I do. I think my whole life is a vacation, and I just pop in and do my podcast, go to the gym, and just go do wrestling, and then do whatever. So it's a pretty easy life.
To me, that sounds like a great life.
It is like you don't realize it until you go outside and you see like people your own age that just look fucking miserable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then you get the reality check.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of those people, I've been sober now 5 years. And I'm not one of those people anymore. I do not waste my time being miserable over shit that I can't control. I try to be positive and look forward and look at the positive side now. Even though I'm from a band called Typo.
Tell us about Sun Don't Shine.
We've got 7 songs now that we recorded back and forth. Like I've done a couple of trips to New Orleans because that's where Winstein is, and Todd and Johnny they're in Texas outside of Dallas, so they usually drive in because it's pretty close to New Orleans. And then we'll hang out and we'll do like a 3 week session of just marathon writing and trying to get parts down and trying to develop stuff. And then I end up coming home with it and making what I can out of it and sending tracks back to them. So we're doing stuff back and forth too by the internet, sharing files and sharing tracks. Dwayne Simona from OCD Recording is the guy who's engineering it and helping produce it, and he's our sound guy. So
Okay, great. So your latest album from Sun Don't Shine will be on Corpse Paint Records, distributed by Symphonic.
yes, that's correct.
And if people want to find you guys on socials, where would they go?
Sun Don't Shine Band.
And what if people want to keep up with you? Do you have a page for your fans?
Kenny Hickey Official. Go to my Instagram page. That's the one I pay attention to. Kenny Hickey Official. I also have an artist page on Facebook as well, which I check sometimes.
It just seems like there's so much like electronics and social media. It's just so tiring, like posting things all the time. I don't know how you guys do it.
A little bits at a time, you know, little pieces at a time. I can't like do it all at once. It gets overwhelming. So you learn one platform, learn another. I mean, look at this. Like, this is a new platform that we're having this conversation on that I haven't used yet. And it looks totally different. It was totally different signing on. And every time we get another platform, it just makes my job harder.
Yeah, I totally get it. Whoever would have thought you just have a small thing these days and you carry it around and it has everything and you could find anything and anyone on there. So do you have any messages for your fans?
Oh, yeah. Stay positive, man. Keep rocking. And, you know, the future is, I think, bright for music. Just got to have some patience.
Yeah. And if you got a mullet, keep rocking that mullet because mullets are awesome. And don't forget to go to Sun Don't Shine Band on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and check them out. They'll be distributed by Symphonic. Have a good one. And thank you so much for joining us. You look great. And I hope I could catch you guys on tour sometime soon. It'll be nice to see you in person. It's been like forever.